Oh, I think I'm just gonna talk like yapping session, but it's not that long because I'm pretty sure all people don't really want to hear about a girl talking about mental illness and stuff. But let me be clear. Actually, I've never been diagnosed with kind of thing, and this probably like self-diagnosed, and it's just probability. And I just felt like I might be, but it doesn't mean that I have, right? So I feel like I might have anxiety, but it just felt like no, I'm not also because it's never been like emerged so easily, or maybe I'm just like quite dramatic, you know what I mean. So whenever I go to boarding school or remember just boarding school and the responsibility that I need to do, I have this kind of anxiety. And whenever I just go to my boarding school, so right now I've been in a position in my student council as a head division of big, and this division is actually quite big, quite important. And you probably thought that I'm actually a good leader or such. Well, I admit that I think I'm good at leading, but it just depends on people that I'm leading on. Like some people is quite hard for me to lead because I don't really have that kind of power or kind of personality to really push them to do things. Maybe you could say that I've people pleaser. Yeah, I guess that's it. And whenever I wanted to do things like doing choices as a head division, I usually being so anxious about things. I hate myself. I had this kind of anxiety that you started to hate yourself, and you just like starting to talk like suicidal. But actually, I've never been suicidal. I mean, like, I've never wanted to really commit suicide. Okay, that's actually quite hard. Okay, not wanting to do unalive thing. Okay, let's just censor about that. And I'm still in my house right now, but I guess whenever I got back to my house, I don't really feel like this kind of anxiety emerged in myself, except if I think about my responsibility. And this is the last week of me in my house, and I'm going back to my boarding school. And this anxiety is actually emerged every time when I just got detoxification, not really overstimulated with dopamine and social media. I just like whenever like I was eating, right, and I just think about my responsibility. I was just gonna say to myself like, shit, I want to comment on life, but it's like, okay, I sound like I'm an edge lord, right? Like, huh, okay, now what? You just want to admit that you actually want to say that? You said about like unalive thing. Yeah, I'm so sorry to sound like I'm an edge lord, but for real, bro, it's just like suddenly. And you have this kind of like imagination of you being kind of suicidal. Okay, I'm not saying the word. You just want to say like I want to jump off from the cliff, or like just want to strangle yourself until that, or such thing. Okay, they sound like suicidal, but maybe I just sound like edgelord. I don't care. But somehow anxiety just drove me to that kind of behavior. And so I asked my teacher about that, but well, I asked that in this kind of not my real self. I tell to my teacher about like, yeah, there's this friend of mine that's actually like that. I just only asked her about like how is that actually counted as like suicidal as I've said before. It's not the word. So I asked her the way it is actually. This girl is quite stressed out with organization, and it had ended up of her every time she got stressed, she gonna say like, yeah, I want to commit unalive. I want to do many unpleasant things to myself. And sometimes I found her literally drawing herself, harming herself. And then my teacher said, yeah, that needs to go to psychologist or therapist, or well, if not, it can lead to other kind of thing. I was like, what? For information, I have never self-harm myself. At least I never like do, you know, the knife kind of thing into my hand, because I have low self-esteem, and I just told myself like, your hair is already not pretty enough, so no need to being to make it ugly, right? And so yeah, I've never been like really wanted to commit suicide. Firstly, it's prohibited, and secondly, well, I don't want to be disappointed, to make my parents disappointed at me. And thirdly, why would it be, right? Actually, I'm not really that suicidal. It's just whenever I go to like anxiety mode, and it's just like I always thought what shit like, yeah, I want to jump off the cliff, I want to commit suicide, etc. etc. I guess that's it. I've never been to a psychologist to test about that, since in my region, checking on psychologists or therapists is quite taboo, except if you really have this kind of mental illness and really really show the symptoms, like symptoms like you really every day, every time you feel sound like you look like depressed. And me, I don't really have that kind of symptoms. Maybe I'm just faking it, probably. And whenever I just feel like, yeah, I guess I'm pretty fine, yeah, I just feel like I'm fine. But just like sometimes I emerge, those kind of feelings. I hate these kind of unpleasant feelings. Whenever I go to my house, I have this kind of plan, like, yeah, I want to go talk to my dad or to my mom, but like I want to check to a psychologist. And I just realized like, oh, okay, I've been like burden enough for them, so wouldn't be nice to tell them like I want to go to psychologist, like as if I have bad things in my mind, right? Maybe I have, but I just don't want to do. Guess that's it. Goodbye.